Thanks for having me here today. Like you said, my name is Investigator Mike Erdman. I'm with the Gooding County Sheriff's Office, Investigations Division. So before I get started in the presentation today, I'll do a little bit about me, how I came to be in law enforcement and everything. So I've been a licensed peace officer since October of 2012. I graduated from RCTC with an associate's degree in law enforcement in June of 2011. During my time as a peace officer, I went back to school eventually. I got my bachelor's degree through the University of Phoenix, so I've got that. After college, I went and worked up in the Metro. I worked for Crystal Police Department for about a year as a community service officer, so I was the one who was out there chasing dogs and writing parking tickets and, the things that everybody just loves to get at, 6 o'clock in the morning when they get back to their car and realize they got a ticket for being in a no parking zone. So I did that for, like I said, for about a year. If I'm talking too fast or anything, please raise your hand and tell me. So I am getting back over a cold from last week, so thankfully I got the mic today. After working up in the Metro, I went and worked down in the Dodge County area, just south of here. I worked for the Sheriff's Office as a 911 dispatcher for a little bit, so if you would recall 911 in Dodge County, I'm who you would have been talking to at that time. Became licensed as a deputy sheriff, like I said, in October of 12. Did that for a couple of years with Dodge County. From there, I went on to work for the West Concord Police Department in Dodge County. Got full-time there, spent about 3 or 4 years with West Concord. I don't know if anyone's ever been to West Concord, on 56 there from Kenyon. If you blink, you will miss it. It's a small town of 700 people. Small agency, a small police department there, but had a great time working there. So I came to Goodhue County in 2017, December of 2017, starting on patrol, working as a deputy sheriff, going to all the calls at night, doing the high-speed chases and all that fun stuff. So I did that for about 2 years or so, 2.5 years. After doing that for a while, I ended up going on to be a school resource officer with Pine Island School District. Did that for 3 years. Of course, when I started that position, that's when COVID hit. And so I ended up leaving the school for a little bit, went back to the road, and then came back to it once the schools reopened. So I did the school job for about 3 years, had a blast doing that, really enjoyed it. It was a fun job. And then after doing that, I got the chance to come up to the sheriff's office and work as an investigator in a temporary position. It was a 2-year temporary position, doing narcotics work, going after the drug busts and everything. And then from there, I got the opportunity then to become a permanent, full-time investigator, doing drug work. And I did drug work for about 2 years in investigations. Got tired of being called at 3 o'clock in the morning that we were chasing some guy from California coming back this way. I got 2 little kids at home, so didn't really work out with my schedule. So I decided to leave narcotics behind and went into general investigations. And when I got into general investigations, I was asked if I wanted to take on a new project working human trafficking cases, which is part of why I'm here today. And then also to work ICAC investigations, which is internet crimes against children. And I'll explain more about that as I'm talking today. So aside from doing general stuff, doing the burglaries, doing the thefts and everything, I primarily focus on ICAC and human trafficking. On top of doing investigations, I also went to class and got certified as a crisis negotiator. So what I do with that, if we have somebody who has gone into a house and we need to get them and they've barricaded themselves, they've locked themselves into a room, we'll try to get them on the phone and try to talk them and get them out of the house. So that's part of what I do too. And I'm also on our dive rescue team as a diver. I've been doing that for about 7 years now. Now I'm more in a leadership role on the team there, but still do a little bit of diving. If anyone has any questions about the dive team later on, I'm happy to talk about that too. So that's really about me. That's my background and how I came to this today. Anytime I talk about human trafficking and ICAC, I always put this disclaimer out there that I try to keep it PG related. ICAC and human trafficking is a very difficult subject to talk about, especially with the public. We never quite know when we're talking about what could upset somebody by what we're saying, but it is a very sensitive topic, if you will. There's a lot of things that can bother people, but again, I try to keep it PG, so just making you aware of that. So I'll talk a little bit about ICAC before I get into human trafficking. So like I said, ICAC is Internet Crimes Against Children, and a lot of that predominantly deals with, unfortunately, child pornography, kids who are forced into making sexual videos, sexual images, and people who are downloading that from the internet and keeping it on their computers. And then of course there's the people who make it. They're the ones who are recording it. They're the ones that are taking the pictures. And so part of my job is going after those people. We have a lot of different ways that we go about those investigations. We'll get crime tips from the internet, from NCMEC, which is a national center for fighting against child abuse on the internet. So they're a pretty well organization within the ICAC community. And so we'll get crime tips from them. They'll see people are downloading these things on the internet to their computers. They'll get flagged on it, they'll get warned about it, and then they'll send that information to us on who that person is, where they're at, where they're located, and then I'll go after them that way. We also have a website where we'll get tips from IP addresses specifically to someone's internet, and if they're downloading anything from there, and then we'll go after them that way too. And there's also doing undercover work where we can pose as somebody on the internet and try to catch these guys that way. So there's a lot of different ways that we can go after ICAC suspects and pursue charges against those people. It's a rewarding position, to say the least, to be able to go after somebody who's victimizing a child that way and being able to put them behind bars and see them get prosecuted and convicted of that crime. So it's a very rewarding position. It is a very time-consuming position, doing all of our search warrants and everything that we need to do through the courts in order to get to these people. But I really enjoy it in the fact that it's well rewarding. And like I said too, what I'm here to talk about today, human trafficking. A lot of times it's synonymous with the word prostitution, and it all boils down to, with prostitution, people selling themselves for sexual acts. And unfortunately, when we talk about human trafficking, a lot of the times it involves kids who get involved with it. They're being sold by somebody else for sexual acts, and so that's those kind of cases that we're going after. So yeah, I had mentioned this a little bit before, becoming involved with these cases. Last year, the Sheriff's Office, our administration, they sat down, had a conversation about it, and they decided that they really wanted us to start working on these human trafficking cases more proactively. Up until this point, if we had a human trafficking case come in, we would obviously call in our resources with the BCA, the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, which is out of St. Paul, and we would work with them, partnering with them if we had a case like this come up. We are affiliated with their human trafficking task force with the BCA. We are a part of that now. And so what's great about the trainings I've gone to in the last year or so is that we can now operate our own investigations and not necessarily have to wait for the BCA to send something to us or have something come up from a different incident. I can be out there now proactively trying to find these people who are doing these to these kids, and going about it that way. So why our office finally decided to become active, or I should say more active and proactive approach to human trafficking is some common misconceptions about trafficking is that, you know, it only happens in big cities. It's only happening up in Minneapolis, Chicago, St. Paul, New York City, California, being a state, that it's only happening there, and that these cases only happen in hotels, and we can only start these cases if we catch these people in the act. And that's just not true. While I will say we don't have a predominant issue in Goodhue County with human trafficking, it's not that we're seeing it every single day in our county. The opportunities for it, though, are everywhere because we have so many avenues that come through Goodhue County. We have all these major highways that come through here. We have the bordering bigger cities around Goodhue County that they can travel into our area. And with our investigations, doing undercover work in those aspects, the buyers for these sexual acts, for the trafficking, will come from states away. When I was going through training, we were told about a case of a guy who was in Minnesota, and he tried purchasing a child online for the trafficking and ended up getting busted by the law enforcement in that area. He went to jail for it, bailed out, and then drove all the way down to Florida to try and do the exact same thing, only to find out it was also law enforcement who was setting him up, and got arrested down there too. So it happens anywhere, and they're willing to meet anywhere. They're willing to meet in cars, parks, houses, you know, the park and ride lots that we have in our counties. These people who are willing to buy people for sexual acts, they'll come from anywhere and they'll meet anywhere. So a recent Rochester, Minnesota case, I'm not going to go through their entire case, but this was just one that I put in here, is that 4 people were arrested for soliciting minors. So they were online, they were chatting with who they thought were kids, trying to get them to meet them for sexual acts, and they were going to purchase sexual acts from them. And come to find out, all these kids they were talking to online were actually the police in that area. So they ended up getting arrested for that, which it's great to make sure that they're off the street. So with trafficking, when we're talking to kids about being safe, about being strangers and everything, you know, I was born in the 90s, and during that time our biggest concern was being at the shopping mall and having somebody approach you or grab you and take you from your parents and everything. That was the biggest concern when, you know, my age growing up. But now it's become all about social media and the chat networks on the internet. That has definitely become the biggest enemy for kids. It's become way too easy for them to jump online and start chatting with anybody from any part of the world, not just United States, but from the world. When I was a school resource officer in Pine Island, I did a lot of talks with our kids with the dangers of social media, because without fail, in those 3 years that I was in the school, I'd have kids every month, not just every year, but every month and every week, coming to me saying that, you know, I was on Snapchat, I was on Instagram, I was on TikTok. I can't keep up with all the apps that are out there now, but they were on there, and yeah, I met this person on there who said they were a 13-year-old like me, and I sent them something I shouldn't, and now they're threatening to send this picture out if I don't send them money. And like I said, that was happening on a weekly basis when I was in the school. And so I did a lot of talks with our kids about not trusting people on the internet, not trusting people on chat rooms, because they are not who they say they are. They never are. They're always posing as kids. They're always telling them that, you know, yep, I live in Denison too, I live in Pine Island too. I just live down the road from you, and then come to find out they're all the way over in California. And these chat rooms, I can tell you from my own experience and my training that they're so wide open. There's so many chat rooms where all you need to do is punch in a username, which can be anything, and they're not even password protected. You can just put it in there, put in where you're generally from. Usually it's by state. You put in you're just from Minnesota. You put in an age, which that's not even checked either. You can just punch in that you're 19, 20, 45, whatever, and start chatting with people. And like I said, they're from anywhere. They can be anyone. And so that's become a huge danger. And when I would talk to parents too, when I was in the school, I said, you know, you're buying your 15-year-old this smartphone here, handing it to them and saying, have fun with it. And it's a small handheld computer, you know, for those of us using smartphones, and you're just opening them up to the internet and a lot of dangers out there. And of course, kids are kids. They roll their eyes at you. They don't believe you. You know, this can't happen to me. It's you're just being overprotective, etc. But it does. And right now, the most dangerous game for the kids out there is actually Roblox. I know very little about Roblox. I've heard my kids talk about it. I've heard other kids talk about it. I don't know very much about it, other than just it's a wide open world game. So again, this is one of those apps, one of those websites that you can go on to, and it's just open to anybody. Anybody can be on there. You can be talking to anybody from around the country, from around the world. But this has become a big platform for people to be, as we call it, grooming kids. These adults start talking to these kids, start getting in their heads, start building comfort with them, and next thing you know, hey, you know, why don't we meet? Why don't we go to this restaurant? Why don't we go to this school, this place, and why don't we meet up? And next thing you know, unfortunately, then they're brought into this world of trafficking, and they're taken away. So I've talked about this already too, but how law enforcement becomes involved in these kind of cases are a lot of different things. They can be everyday calls for service that we go to. We answer the radio, we respond. Like I was talking when I was in the school, kids would come to me reporting that they were scared of someone on the internet. Okay, well, tell me what happened. And yeah, I was talking to somebody I shouldn't, and now they're threatening to send my pictures, or they want to meet me. And the parents too had it all the time, where they would stop into our office, and yeah, my daughter and my son, they were talking to somebody they shouldn't have, and now this person's threatening them, now this person wants to meet them, and kind of freaking us out, and so we would start looking into those cases. But interestingly enough, one of the cases that we take, one of the calls for service that we take that can lead to human trafficking, not every time, but it can, are theft calls. And what I mean by that is when you have a child or an adult too, who's being trafficked by someone, who's being sold for sexual acts by someone, what that person who is selling that kid will have them do is they'll take them into a town, whether it's where they live or they're just passing through. They'll take them into a town, they'll take them to the grocery store, the local Walmart, Target, and send them in with a list of stuff to steal. Because if they're not selling them for acts, making money that way, if you're not making money that way, you're going to make money or you're going to provide for us by stealing for us. And so they'll send them into a store, and you need to steal food, toilet paper, clothes, whatever. So they'll send them in there to do that. They'll get caught, not every time, but they'll get caught. They call us, hey, we got this person who's stealing from us at Walmart, at Target, whatever. And so law enforcement shows up to sit down and start taking the report. And then things just kind of transpire from there. You know, okay, well, what's your mom's dad name and phone numbers? We're gonna have to call them. Well, no, I'm actually with this guy who's outside, And we started just asking those questions and figuring out what their situation is, and hopefully start piecing it together that, you know, this just isn't adding up. And I think, Jacobson, you can attest to this, that when that spidey sense starts going off and the hairs on the back of your neck start to stand up and you're going, okay, it's something just ain't right about this. Again, we start piecing that together and we're going, well, maybe there's a trafficking situation going on here. They don't want to provide mom and dad's information, but there's this guy in the car out there that's waiting for them. They're saying that they're not in school. They're telling you that they're from St. Paul, but they're down here in Pine Island today with this guy stealing from the Pine Island market. You know, what's really going on here? And so we just start asking more of those questions. And if it works out, you know, we can stop it. We can start an investigation and try to stop it, try to help that child and get him out of that situation. And unfortunately, too, sometimes whether it's a child or an adult, they don't want our help. We'll try figuring things out for them, and they don't want our help. They want to continue this lifestyle, but we do what we can, and we do our absolute best to get them out of it. Another way that we can find these cases are also everyday traffic stops. If we're stopping somebody on, like I was talking about, these major highways that go through our county, we stop someone, and again, the things just aren't adding up. You've got this person who's, you know, 45-something years old, and they've got a 13-year-old child with them, and all these things just aren't adding up. And they can't answer our questions of what the connection is and where they're coming from and everything. And not to say that it happens every single time, but it's just something that we're aware of and that we look for, just these red flags. And then, of course, too, catching the actual act in the act, where they're trying to buy the sex act from someone, and we catch them red-handed. We happen to be going by that parking lot, and we see the car there, we pull up on it, and we catch it in the act. And like I said too, we're very proactive in our investigations, checking other law enforcement websites, and communicating with other agencies. Excuse me. So as I was talking to, this is just another news article for a human trafficking bust, that there's law enforcement agencies out there that I'm sure you've seen it in the news before, where they're posing as kids on these chat rooms, and these adults start texting them on there, start talking to them, and next thing you know, they're asking about meeting up for sexual acts. And so they make the meet, and they show up, and once you know it, it's not a child, it's actually 5 squad cars that are waiting for you, and they would make the arrest that way. And then there's also recovery operations. I was talking, you know, a few minutes ago about those theft calls, when we start piecing those things together and it's just not adding up. Like I said, sometimes the one who's being trafficked doesn't necessarily want our help. They want to continue in that lifestyle, but we know something's going on, so we'll continue our investigation even if they don't want to do anything right there. And we'll try doing recovery operations where we try to set up a buy with them, and then we get them out of that situation. And then, of course, too, our secondary goal with that is to find the person who's trying to sell them, who's trying to traffic them, and try to make an arrest on that too. Excuse me. So, you know, that's just my brief PowerPoint presentation anyway. I've thrown a lot of information out there, but whatever questions you guys have that I haven't covered, or you want just some clarification on, I'm more than happy to talk about.
What would an ordinary person do? How could they notice something? What should they look for, either in the city or in your country? Yeah,
absolutely. So you're talking like some suspicious activity that we could be looking out for. And it's a lot of things. Of course, we as officers, we get the calls all the time about the car that's in the Dollar General parking lot at 2 in the morning when it's closed and nobody should be around there. Not to say that that's what it would turn into every time. It could, be a burglary or somebody pulled over just on their phone. But it's those suspicious activity calls that we get. Like I said, with a car in the parking lot when it's not supposed to be there. And we also tell people in their neighborhoods, you know what's normal in your neighborhoods. You know when so-and-so is leaving for work, when the kids are getting on the buses, what's happening at night. Everybody has a general idea of how their neighborhood operates. And I'd be lying if I said in my own neighborhood, if I see a car I don't recognize, I'm doing that whole, looking through the window thing, and I don't recognize that red, Buick, and so we always encourage people in law enforcement, call us if you think something's going on. We would much rather go out and have it be nothing than to not go out and we missed an opportunity to help somebody out and maybe even save someone. And so, to answer your question, the suspicious activity calls, keeping an eye on your neighborhoods, and just anything that just stands out to you, really. If you're seeing someone that's in a parking lot, again, it's 3 in the morning, and you're seeing a kid getting in there with an adult, and it just seems so weird, we always encourage people to call that in, and we'll go and check it out. And hopefully it's nothing, but if it does turn into something, then at least we're there to start investigating it. So that's what we really promote.
I just remember that many years ago when I was a kid, I was going to college, and my mother had gotten a call from a widow across kitty corner that I had left without boots that morning. And both my mother and I thought that was a little over concern, okay? College, okay, maybe. But if it's a concern, and you should talk to neighbors or whatever.
And
with not the boots.
Right, but it's interesting you bring that up too, because like I say, people know their neighborhoods, and I've seen, maybe not even necessarily in Goodhue County alone, but talking with other friends of mine who are officers in different areas, sometimes those are the calls that seem so simple that actually turn into something that's an investigation that we can help somebody. And we get those phone calls of, hey, it's 11 o'clock at night, midnight, there's a girl walking by who has no boots on, or it's 10 degrees outside, not wearing a jacket, and she seems very upset. Don't recognize her, not from our area, not from our neighborhood, and we go out to check on it, and well, what it's somebody from the metro who got dumped off, and now we gotta look into that, and so it's even the no boots calls that can turn into something for us that maybe we help somebody. So
yeah.
Do you ever follow through with a child that you may have rescued, and where do you leave? Are there places for them that you go?
Yeah. We have a couple of different programs out there. We have Safe Harbor, and we also have Hope Coalition that we work with as law enforcement. We have regular meetings with both of these groups, and we try to promote it all the time. And those are the groups that we talk to. Again, if we have a child that needs placing, we have a child that we've rescued and helped out, and they can start making those arrangements for a place to put them, whether foster or they just have a shelter set up for that moment that they could get those kids to. And so yeah, there's a lot of follow-up that we do with that. Yep, absolutely.
Do you ever give tips to kids on how to secretly get help if somebody is escorting them?
Yeah, if we have a situation where we think somebody's trafficking them, then we can slip them our number, or if you call this person and tell them this certain thing and use it as our code, if you will, because we can also provide them with Hope Coalition and Safe Harbor's phone numbers. And because the people who are trafficking these kids, they watch them like a hawk. They don't want them doing anything that could risk them getting involved with law enforcement. And so, yeah, if we have a situation where there's a child who is not wanting help and wanting to not risk being hurt by that person who's trafficking them, yeah, we can provide them and say, if you need help, call this number, text this number, and we'll know what's going on. So, yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned child. What is the age? What do you consider a child?
Anyone under 18.
18.
Yep.
Is there an issue with children under, say, 10?
Yep, there can be. We've seen it. Yep. Because even these kids who are 10 and under, they're getting a hold of these devices somehow. They're scary enough sometimes. I actually have a case I have right now that using a school computer to start chatting with these people, because like I said, these chat rooms are so wide open and easy to get onto. And when I was in the Pine Island schools, their computers were pretty well guarded. If there was anything suspicious that would pop up, they could shut it down. But like I said, these chat rooms are so discreet and so easy to get onto that they can get on them anywhere. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily stop at a certain age, whether it's ICAC or human trafficking. Yeah, we've seen situations with kids 10 or less. Yep.
Ken, go ahead. What's the percent of lack of parental control do you see?
I guess I don't have a number on it, a percent per se. But I guess with my own experience anyway, especially having worked in the schools and then now in investigations and working these cases, it does play a part in it, not having parental oversight with these kids. Again, I keep going back to these devices. It's the problem of buying that phone, buying that tablet for their kid, and going, here you go, here's the world for you to chat with and talk to, and not setting up any parental controls on them, not talking to their kids about, being safe about it, checking those tablets, checking those phones, going through it as a parent, seeing what they're doing on there. So yeah, it does, the lack of parental oversight is a contributing factor to it. And it's interesting too, because I've had plenty of cases when I was in the school and now where I go to talk to a parent and say, your child reported this is happening, and they're going, oh my gosh, I check up on that tablet.
Battery gone?
Oh, sure. Yeah, the battery might be going on. It's starting to blink at me instead of being solid green. Yeah, so I'll go to tell them what their kid reported to me, and they're going, oh my gosh, I check the tablet every day before they go to, after they go to bed, and yeah, battery's going on it. So it happens too, that these parents who are very involved with their kids' lives, they're checking it, but it also doesn't stop them from using their friends' devices, and so I tell them, yeah, it's great that you're being a great parent and you're checking your kids' devices, but it doesn't stop them from going to their buddy's house, their friend's house, and doing the same thing on another device that parent is not checking. And so can't always fault mom and dad for not having that oversight. There's great parents out there that were very involved with their kids, checking up on them, being involved in their lives, and it still happens.
My daughter has 3 children, ages 22 to 16. She has Light 360 on their phones.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
she knows when they get in at night, where they are.
Yep.
And she couldn't live without that. In fact, she wants to put me and her dad on it. Which is okay.
Yep. So, absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess I was wondering about the parental controls, and what are the names of them, and I don't
Oh, there's gosh, probably.
There's so many. There's so many.
Yeah, it's unlimited,
Oh, yeah.
how many apps are out there, how many websites are out there for parental control. You find one, and then they find a way to get past that one, so then you download another one, they find a
That's
way.
the thing, is there's so many different holes in all of the parental control stuff that they can bypass. Like my kid, I've tried to find probably 10 different ways to keep him off of YouTube, and I don't know how he does it. He eats his way onto YouTube every time, but
Yep.
and then on top of that, there's for every parental control app, there's 20 different actual apps that you can use to go and communicate with people on it.
Yeah. And yeah, so there's so many of them out there. I guess I can look.
What'd you see?
There's let's see.
360, life 360.
Bark is one of the more common ones that I've come across.
What, Art?
Bark, like a dog. That's actually the symbol of it. It's a dog barking. And that's an app
Yeah,
that.
I think you're too old.
Well, I just wondered, because I got these grandkids and, you know, the parents work,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep, and like
They're
the.
great grandkids, my kids are too old. They come to what they want.
It's never too late but yeah, with like the Bark app, even that one too, it's a great app and it's a free one if memory serves. And it tells parents, when their kids are going on their phones, what apps they're using on at that time they're logged on, where they're going, where they're coming from. But even that, such a great app, such a great free app, even that one, I mean, there's loopholes around it. And so I always like parents who are doing those things. They're putting those apps on their kids' devices. They're being involved. But unfortunately, like I said, I hate to say it this way, but kids will be kids, and they'll still find a way to get around it, and they'll still use somebody else's device or find a way to deactivate it. But so yeah, while lack of parental oversight is a contributing factor, sometimes even the greatest parents, it gets by them. So
A
it's
lot of these
unfortunate.
TV shows like Law and Order and stuff portrays things like this. 90% of the time, it seems like the kid is at another kid's house
Yep.
using their computer, and the parents have no idea.
Yep, I had a case like that several months ago where a kid came from a great family. The kid was very happy at home, but unfortunately they were at a friend's house. Friend, hey, let's jump on this website, a really cool website somebody told me about the other day. And they got on there, and thank God they didn't go very far with it because it freaked them out when they saw what they were doing. And it ended up going home and then called me, and then yeah, it ended up becoming a whole ordeal with that other household. But yep, it doesn't stop that, unfortunately.
Is there anything in particular that you would do as an officer to protect your children?
Take those devices away from them.
Yeah. Well, that's a tough one.
Yep. That's always my go-to is take those devices away from them. But it's a double-edged sword because those devices are also so much helpful, with kids who are at soccer practice, football practice, band rehearsals and everything. And yep, mom ready to be picked up on my way, But I just tell parents, I keep pushing that, just if these kids are gonna have these devices, again, put the apps on there that guard them. It's not 100% foolproof, as we've already talked about, but put those guardian apps on them. Be involved with what's on their apps, and be involved with them. And if your friends are ever looking at something that you're not okay with, tell mom and dad. Come to mom and dad, tell them, and then we'll handle it from there. For parents just to be as involved as they possibly can.
When you get on these apps, is it just basically chatting with someone?
Yep,
They're just chatting.
yep. If I had the program installed on this computer,
I'll just talk to you.
Wonder what to talk about.
if I had the program on this computer, I would show it to you, but I don't. There's a chat room that I belong to for investigation purposes. And, you log on there, and within 5 seconds, you got 20 people clicking on there just trying to, hey, what's up, what's going on? And again, you have zero clue who they are.
Do they basically post their pictures, their photos?
They don't post it for everyone to see, but if you start chatting with them, then they can go, hey, here's my cell phone, here's my email, here's this, here's that,
The bank account.
and then start sharing pictures that way. So, but yeah, they get on there and it's a free for all. It's just start talking.
Or there's like Roblox where it's just chat rooms while you're playing video games.
Yep.
Is that a major problem?
What's that?
in-
Is chat roulette still a thing?
I think so. Yeah.
Is it a big problem in Cannon Falls, or is it basically,
It's everywhere.
pardon?
It's everywhere. Everywhere there's
Everywhere.
a computer or a video game system, it's everywhere.
Because we're on a major highway, does that make
Or,
us
oh, you mean
vulnerable?
like physical in-person humans? Yeah, I mean, that's, like you said, that can be anywhere. There's places where there's less of it. Like, I don't feel like in Cannon Falls we have a too crazy amount of it, but I mean, with 52 being here, it's certainly possible. I feel like they're more so probably along like I-35 following that route, but.
What is your most unusual case you've had?
Ooh. You're putting me on the spot, now I gotta think about it. Well, I can talk about this one, it's a done deal. Person's already been convicted. So I'll go back to when I worked in the school. So talking about these chat rooms, Snapchat in particular. So I had these students of mine there, and I won't say names or give away ages or anything, but I had these students there who were on a chat room, and I'll just say things got a little crazy in these chats with this person they were talking to, and they had posted their location, where they were living, the students, and this person who was on the chat room told them that's where they live too, because they saw it, they weren't. So they started talking, just, how's school, how's this, tell me about yourself, do you have any pets, well, your parents. And then like I said, things got a little crazy, and they started doing video chats on there, and this person started asking for some things that were extremely inappropriate. And it scared these two that were on that chat. And this person ended up saving these videos and pictures and started what we call sextortion. And they started saying that unless you send me more, unless you do this for me, unless you do this for me, I'm going to post these pictures for your family to see, for the people in your school to see. So that's what they were threatening them with. And like I said, they got really freaked out, really scared, shut it off, went and talked to mom and dad. Mom and dad found us and talked to law enforcement. And then the investigation took off. And this person ended up being 3 states away from Minnesota. And it took me a while, but between this person's chat room information, their account information, they had actually set it up with a previous email account that they had, and I was able to trace it to a different location. I talked to the cops over in that area, and actually, before I could even finish my sentence on why I was talking to them, they said, oh, I know exactly who you're talking about. We've had issues with this person in the past. I know who it is. And let me guess, it's for sextortion. Yep, that's what it's for. And yep, that's what they've done before in the past. We've actually charged them out with a crime here. And so I was able to get that person on the phone and do a interview over the phone, and admitted to what they had done, and tried to play it off that just having fun, and trying to play it off that they were just looking for people their age to be friends with online. And I'm going, you're talking how many year age gap, you're talking about 2 kids, and you are well into adulthood, and you're gonna try to convince me that you were doing this to try to meet friends? Not buying it. And so luckily, that case was charged out, he was convicted of it in our state. And, but that was, it was just a very interesting case because it was lengthy. It took me about 6 months to solve. But just being able to see it through, that I was actually able to find this person through the chat room and talk to them on the phone and get them convicted was great. Plenty of other cases I've had over the years that just aren't coming to mind or they're currently going on, so I can't talk about it. But that one just stuck out to me when you brought that up, so, yeah.
Do you ever give presentations like this to parents of students?
I have yet to do one on trafficking specifically. Like I said before, I've done ones just internet safety, if you will. But no, I've never done an actual trafficking specific one.
So if you pick up this person that's sex trafficking other people, what is the penalty?
You mean like what level or?
I mean, is there prison time?
Yep, it's all felony level. Whether you're trafficking an adult or whether you're trafficking a child obviously enhances it and everything. But whether it's an adult or a child, it's all felony level. And yeah, looking at prison time for that. So, yep, absolutely.
Is it federal or state?
It all depends. We always start everything with the state level, charging things out. There's a lot of things they take into consideration with going federal. How I'll put that in perspective, because I haven't charged out a trafficking or ICAC case federally, but I have with when I did narcotics. So to put it in perspective, when we were charging out federally for narcotics, what they would take into consideration is the amount of drugs that we found, person's past history, if they're affiliated with gangs, motorcycle gangs, the population of the area. So if we're finding somebody in Belchester with 2 pounds of narcotics, that's a mass amount for such a small area. Repeat offenses, how they've been in the system before. So translating that to trafficking and ICAC, the same thing. What is their priors? Have they done this before? And that's what they look at when they're doing it federally. All right. Well, appreciate you guys for having me. If there's anything else I could do for you guys, you know how to find me. I'm not that difficult to track down. So, but thanks for having us today. Thanks for having me.